Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we've been doing this podcast for 7 to 8 years, so maybe we've built a genuine connection with Nintendo? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, it's part 2 of our Switch franchise report card. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I genuinely feel accomplished having made it through the heat wave in LA.
Yes, like it's a survival
Almost.
thing. Well, right,
Yeah.
we're almost there. We are recording on Monday night. It was still like 100 degrees today.
Yeah.
And do you know that in I think it's in Phoenix, but maybe just like Arizona generally, they had 100 days of 100-degree plus weather.
Yes, and so that's why I did read that.
Yes.
And it made me feel crazy for kind of
falling to
wrinkling.
pieces.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Under a week of
Yes.
100-degree temperature.
Now look, we're not doing the weather report.
It's not
That's
a segment
not what
in our
this is.
show anymore.
It's not a segment in the show. But yeah, it's been tough and weird.
Yeah. I don't like it. I'm against it.
I'm also against it. Mark, the consequence of it being so hot is that I have all of my doors and windows closed. So I have the air conditioning on, which also means that if Keto is visiting my house, I don't know this anymore.
Yeah. Now there's a segment we may need.
Is Keto Watch?
Keto update. Yeah,
Right.
Keto Watch. Do you know where your keto is?
I have no idea where my Keto is. So, I mean, it's...
And last week's update was so promising.
I know.
It seemed like a new beginning.
It was 3 nights in a row. We were getting live updates about an ongoing Keto visit at that time.
Yeah.
On Monday. Now, no Keto. Haven't seen him in days.
It has been very hot.
It has been
Maybe
very
when
hot.
it cools down, Keto will be back.
Maybe he'll be back. I did, let me tell you, this little visitor that we had this morning, the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
And like a big body. Like,
oh, yeah.
like the size of a marble.
Oh, that's big.
And he was outside, right? Spinning a big old web.
Yep.
Like over the stairway leading up to my apartment. And was just like so big, had like legs that were like tentacles, it looked like.
I would not care for that.
It's an obscene monster. I didn't like it. I got rid of him. He's gone now.
How did you do it?
So we have like raid, ant, termite, and spider killer
nice. Yeah.
spray. So I just sprayed him. I just sprayed him gone.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm sorry, you can't be here.
You know,
so big, Mark.
Do bugs thrive in the heat? Does it seem like the heat
Interesting.
drives bugs
Crazy?
to be more to be more active?
I think the heat makes them like gravitate towards human places because they're cooler.
Oh.
So I think when we lived in an apartment in sort of in Hollywood, the ants would come up into our apartment when it was hot.
Marching one by one.
Hurrah, hurrah. And is that right?
I think that's
Hurrah?
right. Yeah.
Okay. And our landlord was like, "Oh yeah, they're coming into buildings looking for water." And it's like, oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I've just like for the last 10 years taken that as gospel.
There are so many things in my life where it's like I think I remember reading a headline one time 12 years ago.
Right.
Or somebody told me it and I've never sourced it.
Right.
But I just live my life believing it.
The crazy thing is this is a landlord that I didn't think highly of at the time. I thought he was stupid then. And here I am a decade later being like, as though it's true. If you would like us to continue to tell you things as though they are true, you can email us at Nintendo Cart. No, that's not right at all. What am I doing?
Well, you could.
You could, but that's not what. That won't lead to you hearing more of what we do.
Right.
For that, you got to go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries that we are putting out. We are currently making our way through Season 2 of NCS Arcade.
Yes. For September, we are playing Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow on the Nintendo DS.
Yes.
As part of that collection that was just released a few weeks ago after the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. And I haven't started it yet.
Neither have I.
But I am excited to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you should be following us on Patreon for free.
Yes.
Because everybody can follow us for free. And when you do so, you will get our listener feedback episodes.
Right. And anyone can send us emails, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, about the games that we have played most recently, and we will include those in an episode talking about whatever game we just covered. So in this case, we will be discussing your emails and observations about Elite Beat Agents. We will be recording that on Wednesday. So if you have emails that you want to get into us, get them to us before Wednesday.
Yep.
So you got a day. Just do it now if you have something, right? And then, yeah, that's it. You can email us as well to join our Discord. Send us an email. I'll send you an invitation. You hop right in there. We'll be talking about, they got to announce this Switch 2 at some point, right?
At some point. TikTok.
Yeah, that's right. TikTok. We're running out of time.
Uh-huh.
Like sands through the hourglass. What's that sound? Is it still TikTok?
I think sands through an hourglass sound more like the days of our lives.
Very good. And then, this is exciting. Issue 4 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sourcebook is coming out this week. This is the
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. That's right. That's the final issue. And while there is a bunch of new stuff in the collection that'll be coming out months from now, I think January. It's still cool that this is the last big chunk. It's going to be out there. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is a thing that I wrote. Did I say that? Is that not clear? I'm just we're just plugging the comic book.
We just are excited for this comic book issue.
We are also that, but it's I'm plugging it because I wrote it. All right, Mark. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. First things first. Emio, the Smiling Man.
Oh, yeah.
Famicom Detective Club.
You beat it.
I beat it, yes. And we are going to be doing a full discussion about the game next week.
Yeah, next week.
So that will be a full spoiler-filled conversation about the story and all that stuff. But just want to hop in really quickly to say that I beat it and loved it, was moved by the game, and in particular by the end of the game, and went ahead and pulled a Mark Mitchell, and I ordered the collector's edition from Japan, which arrived today.
Oh, nice.
I'm very
you got yours really quick.
Yeah, I got it through Play Asia. It cost me a little bit of money to have it imported. Did yours arrive?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
It was delivered on Wednesday last week.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I don't want to say too much more about Emio before our in-depth conversation, but I did just want to check in on your progress and how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, I mean, one benefit, I guess, of the heat wave in LA is that I didn't really leave my house this past weekend, and so I played quite a bit of video games, and so I'm about halfway through Emio.
Yes.
And you're right that I guess we don't want to talk about it too much, but I will say, I'm only halfway through, and I'm like 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
So a little less than
They're
halfway.
chapters, but yeah.
Chapters,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. 5 chapters in. And the piece there's one part that really kind of I dislike in this sort of storytelling.
Yes.
In any sort of mystery genre, I really don't like this, but maybe because I'm so early, it's explained or paid off or something like that. But what I don't like is there's just a pretty brief segment where you are experiencing something from, what is the female detective's name?
Ayumi.
No. Sorry, the not this part of the
yes,
Kuze.
yes.
Okay, so you are experiencing
Junko
something
Kuze.
that she is seeing.
Yes.
Like, you're not playing like you are, other parts of the segment. You're just experiencing a scene that she is seeing and nobody else is around for.
Yeah.
And I don't like when mystery stories do this and break the. It feels like it should like if the
You should
the
stay with
character
the
you're
detectives,
seeing doesn't experience it, that the viewer should not know this information.
Yes, you don't get a lot of information from that moment, right? It's kind of just like a little bit of a mood thing.
Yeah.
And I agree with you generally speaking. I do think that the game lets go of its mood a couple times because, like, it's a Famicom Detective Club game. Like, it's ultimately like kind of a light experience. But like, it just needs to remind you, like, no, like, a kid was murdered.
Right.
Like there's a serial murderer probably on the loose. So like, and he's like scary. He's got like a gimmick. So I grant it that grace of like, it needs to affect its tone sometimes a little bit more intentionally than others. And like, it really doesn't settle into like doing that organically until like the final maybe 3 chapters. But okay, so you're about halfway through.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through. The other thing that I'll say is that this has become the soundtrack for Emio has become
fantastic,
my
right?
new like work
music.
My like concentration stuff when I'm just trying to get stuff done. It's really good.
Yes.
I don't remember the soundtrack for the remakes hitting me in the same way. Like,
I don't think they're as good. Like, I think in some ways they are like contemporary versions of the original Famicom Disk System games. So like, they're a little bit more like 8-bit loopy, and so are therefore more repetitive. And I don't feel like the music here is repetitive at all. Like, it's like soothes you into like a nice like bath of just like sonic interestingness. And like, very little about it is discordant. I just think it's very good, easy to listen to music.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And then let's hear about Splatoon 3.
Oh yeah, so this weekend was a salmon run big run, and some folks in the Discord alerted me, letting me know, because we had talked about, are you gonna take part in the grand festival that's like kind of the finale, and which is happening later in September, but the big run was this weekend. And so I got in, played some Salmon Run. It had been months since I had last played. Yeah. And I'm happy to report Salmon Run is still very good, and this big run was a lot of fun. It had been a while since I'd participated in a big run, and the last time I played, I didn't really like the map that the big run was on. So basically, big runs work like a little bit. They're very similar to regular Salmon Run, but they also work a little bit differently. Like, this was a unique map. It's all about collecting as a group, at least this time, as many eggs as you can.
Yeah.
And the more eggs that you can collect, like, anybody who participates gets these rewards. I think the initial goal that they'd set was like 300,000 or something like that. Like, by the end, they had collected an
like
insane amount.
Of
yeah,
eggs,
like
right?
a billion of. So maybe it was 300 million was the original goal, and by the end it was over 1 billion. But yeah, it was so much fun. The map was the Grand Splatlands Bowl, which I think was specific for this like finale big run.
Oh, cool.
The weapons, there were a lot of I think they were all like Grizzco special weapons, and I generally don't play with rollers, but there was this Grizzco roller that I just felt unstoppable.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And then all of the boss salmonid fights at the end was the triumvirate. Boss salmonids were all 3 of them are around.
Yeah.
There was one time that the team I was on got close to killing all 3, but for the most part we just like wiped immediately. I don't know how people are so good
that they can actually beat all 3.
Them. Yeah. But yeah, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed the big run.
Were you like teaming up with people in the Discord, or just like
no, I was just
blind?
Yeah, I was just playing just with random people online. But for a while, for like a couple hours, there was a good crew of 4 of us that we got in a real good groove.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, I really had a lot of fun with the big run.
Do we know if they're gonna keep I know like they won't be doing new big runs, but like they gotta like bring them back on like a regular-ish schedule, right?
Yeah, I wonder because I believe they said that after the Grand Festival, they kind of like what they did with Splatoon 2, they will just start doing repeats.
Right.
And I wonder if big runs will be part of that as well in the same cadence as they've existed in the past.
I mean, you would kind of hope so, right? That like these moments, well, like cool in their like limited nature would also then be like something you could revisit.
Yeah,
although I guess it's not like the Tetris Maximus Cups, like I come back sometimes,
but they've also haven't like ended support for Tetris 99 yet.
Right.
And maybe when they do, that is what they'll do. They'll start like replaying, what is it, 6-7 years of Tetris 99 Maximus Cups.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I would expect the big runs show up probably at a similar cadence as they have now.
Just to relay a quick bit of my Splatoon experience, on Thursday, the Callie and Marie and Pearl and Marina like alternate outfits amiibos released. I had these pre-ordered that I was picking them up at Best Buy, and when I got to Best Buy, I scanned the thing and the guy was like, okay, went back, came, gave me the Callie and Marie amiibo, and I was like, oh, there should be another one of these, and he was like, oh yeah, let me look at that, and then like scan the thing again, and it was like, oh yeah, it says that they're not here, and I was like, okay, I pre-ordered them, and then I was like, I can't hassle this guy, right, he doesn't like nothing, but so that's where I am now.
Oh, okay, no resolution.
I still do not have my Pearl and Marina.
What do? How do you escalate it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, because like I was like, so do you think I'll get these things? And the guy was like, well, it doesn't say canceled. And I was like, yeah. So now I gotta like figure out what to do.
Oh,
should I like go on Amazon and like try to order them, or should I go to like a game site? Like, should I seek them out elsewhere, or should I wait and hope that Best Buy makes good on this pre-order?
Well, I guess maybe, get them so that way you know that you have them.
Right, exactly.
And then, but also simultaneously, you should probably escalate it, I don't know with who, but somebody at Best Buy.
Right. I wonder if there's just like a button in the app that I can push.
But yeah, I would contact somebody.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what? What's going on?
Right.
It was a frustrating experience.
Yeah.
And like a frustrating experience that like I could feel myself getting mad, but also being like, you can't talk to this person. This is a human being who works at Best Buy. They don't need this from you.
And he
can't do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing he can do about it.
But I was also at the Best Buy for a separate reason. I went on Friday morning with friends of the show, Connor McCabe, Jeremy Schmidt, and Matt Apodaca, to pick up Astro Bot for the PlayStation 5, a game that all 4 of us were excited about playing, and that I subsequently, you stayed inside avoiding the heat by playing Famicom Detective Club. I stayed inside and avoided the heat by playing Astro Bot. The game is great.
That's what I've heard.
It's like really,
and
really
all
fun. Yeah.
Like images that I've seen shared just make it look really cute, really fun.
Yes, and it is so very much in the style of Astro's Playroom, the sort of like pack-in game on PlayStation 5, or Astro Bot Rescue Mission, the PSVR original game that has not been ported to PSVR 2, and it only exists there. It's just like a simple 3D platformer with a little bit more of like a course-based approach to level design. There are some open-ish areas, but like they're very like constricted, right? Like even more so than like a Mario Galaxy. And it has, from the get-go, you are playing as this little robot who's flying a PlayStation 5 through space, and like all the parts of the PlayStation 5 get like blown off and like taken by green goopy aliens, and all of your little Astrobot friends get scattered to the wind, and you spend the rest of the game collecting those pieces of the PlayStation 5 spaceship and all of these bots to like build back up your home base. Now, many of these bots, like half of them, have half of them are just like regular little like featureless Astro Bots, but the other half are all references to other PlayStation characters. PlayStation, like, etc. Right? Like, there are also some like Resident Evil characters and like other games that you would associate with PlayStation, while not necessarily being. You know how sometimes we do something like where we're like, we're gonna cast Nintendo characters, and we're like, Mega Man's gonna count.
Right,
right.
yeah.
That's very much what this feels like. And I don't want to spoil like any of it because the game is so like experiential, and you just like stumble on like little bits of whimsy every like 4 minutes. It's really a lot like playing Super Mario Brothers Wonder in that regard, where like I wanted to talk about the game, but it's like I don't want to spoil this platformer because the joy of discovery is such a big part of it. But yeah, it's doing the thing that Super Smash Brothers does, and that it's like, here is a playable, living like game that is fun in its own part, but also like part museum for the past of this company. And it is doing the thing where I'm like, I want to know more about. I want to experience some of these PlayStation properties firsthand that either I've never experienced or I want to get back and like play them again. Parappa the Rapper's in here, and I'm like, I should pick up Parappa. I've never played an Ape Escape game before, but there's an Ape Escape level, and it was super fun. So I'm like, oh no, like it just made me like have this moment of like, oh yeah, I really like PlayStation stuff. I wish I knew more about it, and I'm like absolutely gonna play more old PlayStation games now.
That's so fun. Yeah, Sony is not really a mascot platformer type system,
Totally.
and it's so cool.
I mean, it's something that they like sample a little bit from time to like. Crash Bandicoot was like sort of that for a little bit, like Spyro the Dragon sort of that for a little bit. The Little Big Planet sort of that for a little bit, and Astro is just like, this is us doing it now.
Yeah, so it'd be really. I hope it's really successful.
I do too.
Because it would be fun to see what Sony could do with like Astro Bot as a franchise.
Yes.
So can I ask what, and this is kind of a hard question to answer, but how does it like move? Like, I feel like you know, the joy of a platformer is getting comfortable with the action and feeling really powerful in the move set and knowing all of that's, and I feel like Mario is the text for what a platformer should feel like. So how does Astrobot play?
Right. So I mean, like,
what's his move set?
Yeah. So you know, obviously, I think that like Mario is the king of like, I know exactly how he's going to control in every game before I play it. And Astro is like, he's just like a touch floatier and like maybe not quite as like hairpin like turny. But there's also like a little less precision required of him. Astro has a jump, and then if you hold jump, he has like little beams that shoot out of his feet that sort of like extend the length of his jump, right? So he just sort of like floats down a little bit. And then he can punch, and like that's kind of it. Like, he's got a very basic move set, and then in every level, you encounter like a different gadget that he straps on that gives him like one additional move to use through the course of this level. So he's got like these two little frog things that go on his arm, his like fists that like turn him into like an arms character with like extendable arms. He's got like a little rocket dog that goes on his back that'll like launch him forward at high speeds. He's got like another one that like shoots him straight up at high speeds. And sometimes there's a mouse one, which is my favorite, where he shrinks down really small. And this is also one of the things that like, it's demonstrating a power that the PlayStation 5 has that the Switch does not, because it is like you're shrinking and the camera shrinks down with you in real time, and you can like go back and forth like as fast as you want, and the system is able to like load it all right away. Or like when you're big, it's generating all the detail that it would if you were like zoomed in real close. It just feels like the kind of thing that like a Switch could never.
Right.
And so like there are ways, all of which is to say, he controls pretty well. He's not Mario, but like he's close.
Is the camera behind you?
Camera is loose. You control it with a right thumbstick.
Oh, okay.
But it will occasionally like take the camera control away from you, or like suggest a camera angle, and you can like adjust it from there. But there are also like side scrolling portions too, where it's just like, nope, it's all just gonna be like a 2D Mario game or whatever. But yeah, so it's a ton of fun. There are definitely parts of it where I'm like, oh man, I wish Nintendo like had access to this kind of power in the system. And then like other ways where I'm like, oh yeah, but like Mario's still obviously the king of this stuff, right? But yeah, like a really really good game. I'm very impressed with it. Uh, yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. Makes me want to play more PlayStation games.
Yeah, that really sounds awesome. Yeah, I have not heard a single bad thing about it anybody.
I don't think there are bad things about it, other than like on Sunday I was like, I'm gonna slow down because I had been. There are 300 bots that you like collect through the course of the game. I've got like 230, and I'm like, I have to stop. The game also has like a fun, easy hint system where as long as you're not on your first path through a level, you can like unlock a thing by spending 200 coins, which is just like a little bird that follows you around that will just like kind of tweet at secrets that you haven't collected yet.
Oh, that's fun.
So like you every level you play twice, once, or sometimes you can clear it out in one go. But if you miss something, you just hop right back in, spend those coins, find everything.
Do you know what's crazy is when you were saying, "Oh, I wish that Nintendo had access to this amount of like power."
Yeah,
we're talking like 20 years from now.
I know,
because I mean, it's not exact. It's not a 1-for-1. But the Switch 2 will be less powerful than the PS5. And so it'll be yet another generation before it is, we'll say, a PS5 equivalent.
Right, so let's say, well, it could be another 8 years, right? Well, if we get Switch 2 now and then 8 years later.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is like a little bit disheartening where it's just like, oh yeah, that's not in Nintendo's moveset, right? But I would have thought that a game like Astro Bot and a game that is as reverential to the company's history would also be outside of Sony's toolkit too.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like a really astounding thing to see from them. I just want to hit on like a couple little like PlayStation things, as long as I'm talking Astro here, because like PlayStation's had a weird week. They launched this game to like near universal acclaim, and it's like not a type of game that they make, drawing lots of comparisons to Nintendo and to Nintendo's best games. But it's the same week that they shut down their like games. There's like service game Concord. It was like a shooter, like character based, like Overwatch like, I think. Concord shut it down after 2 weeks on the market, offered everyone full refunds, or just like, we're pulling the game, it doesn't exist anymore.
And weren't the rumors that it sold like 25,000 copies?
Those are the rumors, that it sold worse than Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story,
that remake
on the 3DS.
For the 3DS.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's bad. It's not very good. But even still, like 2 weeks.
I know. Well, especially the reports were that the developers have been working on it for 8 years. That would be so disheartening. To work on something for 8 years, have it come out, not be super well received, and then shut down after 2 weeks.
Right. Well, and like kind of beyond that, earlier this year, it was featured at the beginning of a PlayStation State of Play, right, which is their Nintendo Direct, basically. Which was just like 20 minutes of like cinematics and gameplay footage from this game. Like, they were seemingly positioning it as like, this is our next big thing. And then it's out for 2 weeks and they're like, nope, it's not our big thing.
Yeah.
And like, I get like the that market, the like competitive online shooter market, is saturated or whatever. And like putting a new product in there without like the hooks of it being a series of games that people already like, or like connected to a franchise that people like, and even then, like Marvel's Avengers, like it suffered a ignoble fate as well. It lasted like 100 weeks longer than Concord did, but still, yeah, it's just like I don't know how something like that gets its hooks in people in 2024.
Yeah, I don't either. And that's kind of what the postmortems that I was reading on Concord were basically saying, that it's like they were charging $40
Right.
for Concord, and when you're competing with all these games where the entry point is free and you need critical mass, like you need people who are playing these
Right.
free games to decide not just them but their friends as well
Yes.
are going to migrate over that's a really hard task. And isn't Sony, this was like part of their strategy, right? Is those like games as a service, like
Yes.
pumping some of those out and I guess hoping that one of them hits big?
Well, I mean, probably hoping that they all hit big, right? Like Helldivers earlier this year was Helldivers 2 was like one that hit big for at least a little while. I don't think it's like, maybe it still has a big presence. I don't know.
I don't know either. I read an article that people that are playing it have been review bombing it on Steam because they're upset because some of the changes, and so the developers released like a treatise. Treatise. There you go. A treatise. Basically saying we messed up. Here's how we're gonna fix it, type of thing.
God, there's so much in like game development, especially in like an era of constant updates and like games as a service, like you said, that just seems like a nightmare. So much of it is just like PR and being like, sorry, our bad.
I feel like, so when the first Destiny came out, I feel like that's just been Bungie with Destiny from day one.
Totally.
I remember I played a ton of Destiny, and like every update that they posted on, like they did weekly like blog updates.
Right.
And I feel like every single one was them having to eat just like a little bit of crap and grin and bear it. Because it must be excruciating. And I'm not saying the Destiny was a perfect game by any means.
Right.
But especially like I'm guessing Sony bought Bungie hoping that Destiny 2 would be one of these games as a service that would go on forever. Right. Destiny 2 has had a lot of Bungie, and Destiny 2 has had a lot of issues. And like it just feels like Bungie was behind the 8 ball with Destiny and Destiny 2 from the beginning.
Right. Well, and then like, another like casualty of like the Bungie, of Sony's like purchasing of Bungie, that Last of Us 2 multiplayer like experience, they shelved it completely because they were
right.
Either it's not working or it's not fun or whatever. And that's probably like a good call, right? If like the game was so bad and had like the Last of Us license and they still couldn't like find a way to like make it work. I mean, they put Concord out and they were like, nah. No, never mind.
Yeah.
But it's hard to imagine that like something with the Last of Us name on it wouldn't fare better than Concord.
Right.
But it's also possible that Concord comes back in a couple months as a free-to-play game, is retooled with some like crappy loot box progression thing that you have to pay for. But yeah, all in all, just seems like a really weird time when Sony is launching a like very successful single player experience, which isn't totally in line with what they normally do, and Concord, which is a multiplayer consistently online thing.
Well, in some ways it's probably great timing for them because now everybody's focused on Astro Bot.
Sure.
And Concord is last week's news.
I do find it very funny that obviously when we talk about Xbox stuff, and it's very funny to me how they are frequently like, sorry, we have to do this. Sorry, we have to put these games out other places. And then PlayStation is like, I'm sorry, the game's no good. We're taking it down. I'm sorry. And Nintendo, I don't think they'd ever apologize.
Joy-Con drift, what?
Yeah, like, well, sorry, what are you going to sue us? Bring it. And then the other thing, of course, is that today, Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., PlayStation is holding a technical presentation where it is expected that they will reveal the PS5 Pro, the sort of like mid-generation refresh of the PlayStation 5, which is crazy to think that that's coming out presumably, right, before the next Switch. Isn't that crazy?
I think it was a video on Jeremy Parrish's channel, a YouTube channel that I was watching last week or the week before, and he's talking about Sega right now, and he was talking about the Mega Drive, I think, and saying how it was created to make arcade perfect
Yes.
games, but in doing that, it limited the audience for their system, because it's like you are only making games for one type of person, and eventually those people run out of money to give you.
Right.
And Astro Bot, for sure, an exception. But when I see the PS5 Pro, I'm like, who is this? Who is this for? The PS5 is already so expensive, and not that there is not an audience for it, but just that it seems like it's going to be a narrow audience. But also the PS5 has sold incredibly well.
Right.
So what do I know?
And the PS4 Pro was a successful hardware update.
Yeah.
And I remember people having this conversation at that time too, of like, who needs this? This is an unforced error. But it's also, I think there's a thing where Sony and PlayStation just like putting out hardware, right? Last year, Mark, just to review this quickly, they put out PlayStation VR 2. They launched a new platform. They released the PlayStation Portal, which I own. It's the handheld thing that streams directly from my PlayStation 5, either over local internet or just the internet. A set of Pulse earbuds and overhead headset, and the DualSense Edge controller, which is their premium PlayStation controller. So that's 5 big pieces of hardware, one of which is a brand new platform, and the other is a paradigm shifting way to interface with their most popular platform. And it's they just like putting stuff out.
Yeah,
I think
it must work for them.
It must. Well, okay, so that was our little digression into PlayStation stuff. But Mark, I tell you, playing Astro Bot, I'm just I'm gonna go to the store here and just start wish listing stuff, and maybe I took a second where I was do I want to upgrade my PlayStation Plus plan and just play some of the games that
oh sure, yeah,
are available with that. And I'm thinking about it, and there's a Zelda game coming out in a couple weeks, so maybe it's a bad idea, but anyway, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, September 10th, Yars Rising is released digitally on Switch.
Can you remind me what Yars Rising is?
So Yars is a an arcade game, I think from Atari, and Yars Rising is a sequel made by WayForward.
That's right.
That we had talked about.
It was in a direct, right?
It may have been in a direct, and we had talked about it in some news item a while back. But I'm not familiar with the original game, but Yars Rising is out today. And then another thing that I'm not familiar with originally, on September 12th on Thursday, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop is releasing on Switch and other platforms. And
yes, this is a game I only know by reputation.
Same. It released in 2012, and it's a collaboration between Suda51 and James Gunn, which I did not realize. And this was pre-Guardians of the Galaxy James Gunn.
Yeah, I mean, it's pre-Slither James Gunn, right? This is when he's proto, what he would become.
Right.
What a crazy career that guy has had. When you think about it, going from being a little bit of a shock, schlock director.
Because he came from Troma, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then getting an in with Marvel and doing Guardians, getting fired from that because of an organized online smear campaign, digging up old tweets when he was trying to be a comedian provocateur or whatever. Then sampling some time at DC and Warner Brothers and doing the Suicide Squad, making an incredible movie over there, and then going back to close out his trilogy of Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which are widely hailed as some of the better MCU movies, especially in the Phase 4 and 5 era, and now is back to run DC Studios or whatever they're calling it. He's directing Superman.
So crazy. And you can get a sample of his humbler beginnings with Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. And that's the extent of what I know about it.
I think it's
don't really
like a
know
character action game, right? With like a gratuitous TNA and stuff.
Sounds about
I mean,
right.
I think
No, I
is-
think you're
is what
right.
it
I
is,
totally
yeah.
think you're right. The other thing that comes out on Thursday is
Here we
Marvel
go.
vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
Can you believe it's already here, Mark? I'm very excited about this, of course.
How did you decide to buy it? Because I know that was a question, or have you decided?
I have not decided. Of course the question here is like, because it is a fighting game and I will want to play it online and probably use a fight stick. I should get it on PlayStation, right? Because that's where I have those things and where I trust the online more than I trust it on the Switch. But also, if I'm on a plane and I want to play, X-Men versus Street Fighter, I can do that on the Switch.
Right.
So I think what I landed on is I'm going to buy it on Switch, and then when it and the Fighting Collection 2 get bundled together, I will buy those on PlayStation. So the answer is just I buy it twice. Mark, do these move the needle for you at all?
I'm not a fighting game person.
Right.
I never played these games in the arcade or anything like that, but I was watching a review of this collection on Good Vibes Gaming, their YouTube channel, and the visuals of it are just so spectacular. Like, what I was thinking is like, I just want to be in a room where this is like being projected onto the wall, just as like something that I can just watch and experience, because the art is and the animation is so fun and so of that era.
Yes. Well, there's also like I don't think there's any like accounting for or any replicating the specific brew that is Capcom, right? Like our arcade game company that have been doing it forever, who like figured out how to design these original characters that really popped and were really like exciting and colorful. Them interpreting Marvel characters. There's like, it's like looking at a cartoon through a magnifying glass that is also a cartoon, if that makes sense. It's just so cool, and I don't think there's really been anything like that.
And they were also talking about how there's the US and Japanese versions of all of these games, and in some of the games there are characters that were previously like Japanese exclusive, because there's one that it was a collaboration between Marvel or maybe it was Capcom and like this Japanese comedian, and so the character was never available before, but now he is in this collection. I don't know, as like a piece of art, I think it's I think it's really cool.
As like a mainstream piece of like gonzo art. Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in particular like goes out of its way to be like an insane roster of characters, some of which are balanced, and like I don't know, it's a beautiful cacophony, and I'm very much looking forward to it, and will make you play it with me, Mark.
Sounds good.
All right, those are the new releases. Let's close this segment out. I think I muted the sound there, so okay, let's close this out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433, which my computer sort of just did. Isn't that interesting? The computer did 433 on its own. When we do 43, it's this. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, in honor of the heat wave, I say that we go to this Forbes article of how to beat the heat this summer. Here are 20 ways to stay cool, and just weigh in on each of their 20 tips on how to stay cool.
Love it.
20 tips, okay? Tip number 1, and we can say whether we use these tips during the most recent heat wave.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Tip number 1, drink lots of water.
Sure, accepted. I accept that tip.
I accept that tip. I would say I drink a lot of water always. I don't know that I was drinking more water during the heat wave.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you were drinking more water?
I don't know that I was drinking more.
Right. Eat foods with a higher water content.
I would not say I was doing that.
I would also not say that I was doing that. I'll just drink some water.
We're already drinking so much water.
Right. What do you want me to do? Number 3, limit your caffeine intake.
I don't really
Yeah, you don't
Excuse
really
me,
drink
I
caffeine.
don't really drink
right?
caffeine.
I have a cup of coffee every morning, so I did not adhere to that. Limit your alcohol intake.
Yeah, I don't really drink alcohol that much either.
It's sunny. I'm going to have something to drink. You can't stop me. Number 5, avoid heavy meals.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I had pizza this weekend.
Is pizza a heavy meal? I guess it's a lot of bread,
Yeah, cheese.
cheese.
I feel like it's a heavy meal.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Number 6, avoid the sun.
Yeah, done and done.
Well, you got it. Number 7, wear loose and light-colored clothing with breathable fabrics.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of just like default to like wear as little as I can, right? Shorts, t-shirt, tank top.
Yeah. Oh, see, I never wear tank tops.
Yeah, not even around the house.
Not even around the house. I don't think I own any.
See, that was me before COVID, and then like COVID hit, and I was like, I'm going to bring. We can't go outside, so I'm going to bring the summer inside. It's something I said to Sarah.
This is not. Yeah, that's amazing.
This is lore. This is canon. So yeah, I was wearing tank tops all weekend. Next is number 8. Wear a wet T-shirt.
No,
I'm not doing that.
I'm not. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not gonna
if
do
my
that.
T-shirt's wet, it's because I was like on a water ride at Six Flags.
Right.
Number 9. Go on natural. In fact, why even bother wearing clothing? It's just saying be nude. I'm not gonna be nude just hanging out around the house.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'll hang out in just my underwear,
Mhm.
but usually in the morning.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That changes by like 10
Yeah.
at the latest. Number 10, take a cold but not too cold shower. I don't like a cold shower.
Yeah, I did not do this.
Also, what's with this warning about but not too cold?
They don't want to be responsible for hypothermia.
Okay, number 11, use a water spray or spritzer. I don't like this either. This is just like the wear a wet shirt.
Hi.
We have little like portable fans that have like a spritzer in them, and every time I get sprayed with the water, I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I feel like some of this list is not very useful to me because I didn't go outside. Like if I was
Right.
outside,
Right.
some of this would be more practical, and that's on me. That's not on the list.
No, the list is good. Number 12, use a cold compress.
I didn't do that.
I didn't do that either. Number 13, soak your body in water or go for a swim.
I didn't go for a swim.
I didn't either, but like I do like jumping in a pool when it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Number 14, use air conditioning.
Sure. Yep. Check.
Come on, Forbes. Number 15, use fans.
Yeah. Okay. We got ceiling fans going.
Yep.
I'll consider that a check.
Us too. Number 16, move your physical activity to cooler parts of the day.
Yeah. Sure. Check.
On Saturday, I did laundry, and I finished all our laundry's like outside, right? Our laundry room, you have to go outside to get there, and I finished it all before 8:00 a.m.
Whoa.
Yeah,
And it was probably still like 80 degrees.
it was still
when
like
you were doing it.
85. Yeah. Hold on, I clicked away. Okay. Number 17, take frequent breaks. You got it, Forbes.
Oh yeah, no problem.
No problem. I will take frequent breaks. Number 18, turn off heat generating equipment. So I think it means like equipment that like incidentally generates heat.
Yeah.
They say put away that laptop.
Oh no, didn't do that.
Didn't do that. I had my PlayStation on all day. I'm sure that was generating heat. Also, I just kept the toaster oven on and was cooking stuff in the oven.
Yeah. Well, you have to get ready for Thanksgiving.
You have to because we have to determine our fall vibe or whatever from last week. There are 2 more, but I don't think we're gonna read them.
There were 2 more,
Okay.
and we're cutting it at
Yeah.
2 more.
Okay, but just okay. What? Just yeah, we're gonna hear these because I'm actually upset about them. Number 19, keep your bed cool.
Do you get? So I have on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have targeted ads turned off. Like I don't.
Yes.
So I don't get like personalized ads or anything.
Yes.
Which means that I just get kind of
Random ads,
random
yeah.
ads. And one of them that I get all
Buying
the
Trump
time,
gold coins or something.
one of them that I get all the time is for like a little machine that you put at the foot of your bed, and it just pumps cold air
Yes. So
into your, like under your sheets.
Yes,
to try to keep you cool.
Previous guest on this show, Christian Humes, is a big fan of this device. I've heard him talk about it many times. But it feels weird, doesn't it?
It does. It seems like it'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if you're taking Forbes' advice,
you should do it.
That's one way you could do it.
And then the 20th is avoid stress and practice mindfulness.
Avoid stress is my least favorite advice in the world.
Because it's unpracticable.
I remember when this was like 10 years ago, and I wear a night guard at night on my teeth because I clench my teeth so hard.
Right.
And when the dentist recommended it, I was like, oh, is there an alternative? And he's like, yeah, just don't have stress. Sign me up for one night guard, please.
Yes, because how are you not going to have stress?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's
really.
not good advice.
Well, it's especially bad advice because it's like the opposite of actionable. Someone tells you not to have stress and you're like going to stress out about the stress you are having anyway. Mark, we were accompanied today by an ensemble at the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix. Let's get into the news.
Some small Switch 2 rumors, updates that we should just put out there.
Yeah, it's a weird news week.
So momentum seems to be gathering online for some sort of Switch 2 reveal in September. And I can't like trace this back to a single source or anything that necessarily got the hive mind going in this direction.
Right.
But that seems to be what people like. The consensus online just seems to be we're going to hear something about it in September.
Right. And I know that like there was also that like sort of noise about the presentation, a presentation of some kind happening in August or September. And, obviously we got the partner showcase and Indie World showcase both at the end of August. So like, I think it's kind of tempting to be like, that's what that was. But maybe that there is still something out there. September is the time for a Nintendo Direct of some kind, right? Historically speaking.
Right.
But yeah, we don't, we're totally off the map here.
Yes. But if they were to do it,
mm-hmm.
I guess you could do it before Tokyo Game Show at the end of the month.
That makes sense.
And then partners would be free to talk
show
about
stuff
it
at TGS, yeah.
So, I don't know. I just feel I'm so skeptical about anything
I know.
Switch 2.
Yes.
Like, so I could see it, but I don't believe it yet.
Yeah. I still think it's possible that we only get a tease of it before Christmas and then get a full reveal at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Speaking of like maybe this is the source of the whole thing. I don't really know. So according to David Gibson, who's the senior analyst at MST Financial, Nintendo assembler Hosiden has been ramping up for Nintendo. So this is what they say. Quote, the Nintendo assembler, Hosiden, is spending 2 billion yen on production equipment and 1 billion on automation in fiscal year 325. So I think that's like the third quarter of the fiscal year 25, which would be starting in like...
Which would be the October to December, yeah.
For its major customer in amusement, parentheses Nintendo. I still expect September news and March 2025 release for next device. So this is what one analyst is saying.
That's what one analyst is saying. I think there's not no way, but I do not at this point think it is likely that it comes out in this fiscal year. I think it'll be April or later. And by that point, it's probably just going to be a summer release, right? That it'll come out like July or August, like Nintendo has done a handful of times, especially for like handhelds and stuff. But hey, I would love a March release. That'd be great.
Also, another kind of like small Switch 2 rumor. Industry insider Nate the Hate is claiming the Switch 2 will be backward compatible.
Which I think we're assuming, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's the general consensus.
All right, good.
Fair enough.
It's look. Someday we're gonna like have information about the Switch, the successor to the Nintendo Switch. But until then, just little nuggets that we can,
little tidbits.
little tidbits.
But like you mentioned, Patrick, Nintendo is still aiming to sell like 13 million more Switches between now and the end of next March. A company called Deal Labs, or I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's DEALABS.
So maybe it's Deal Abs.
Yes, Deal Labs,
Mm-hmm.
a French website devoted to reporting on like good deals found online, is saying that Nintendo has a new Switch OLED bundle planned for Europe this year.
Oh.
That would be an OLED system bundled with Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and it would go for like the same price as an OLED system.
Now, I'm not duty bound to buy that, right?
No, I think
To
if it
travel to
doesn't release
France.
in North. Well, okay, but they also say
Yeah.
that some sort of new bundle, is coming to North America this year, but they aren't sure if it's going to be the same one, like the OLED
Got it.
and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I don't know if you're obligated to buy bundles.
I don't think
either,
I'm
new
obligated to buy bundles. No,
Yeah.
I mean I'm already buying another Switch this year in the form of the Echoes of Wisdom Switch Lite. So like that's got to be good enough. It's gotta.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah,
I
thank
feel
you.
like we can't ask you to buy another Nintendo system because they're bundling it together.
Yeah.
This Deal Labs is also reporting a late September or early October launch for this bundle in Europe. So not necessarily tied to like any sort of like Black Friday thing, but that would be coming up really soon.
Is
if
it?
that
Yeah.
were the case.
Yeah. Very soon. Is this the first bundle that we've seen with the OLED?
That's what I was thinking, and I think
so.
that it's the only one I
is,
can
yeah,
think of.
Yeah. It's weird how few bundles there have been for and like that they're always like sold as like a bundle and not like, oh yeah, of course there's like a pack-in game with the Switch. That's just it's just weird that like that's not part of the calculus this time out.
Yeah, we've had that old faithful Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the base Switch bundle that has for many years was trotted out around Black Friday in North America, and I think is just like a permanent bundle that exists now.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, even when we had special edition systems, they
didn't actually come with those games. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is weird.
Nintendo released a new video with details about Mario and Luigi Brothership. It's a quick video called Greetings from Concordia.
It is a full 30 seconds long. It is an incredibly short video.
We're still a little over 2 months away from the release of Brothership,
which is simultaneously a long time from now, and also like, oh my god, I can't believe that November 17th is like 2 months away.
I know, that is crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. So yeah, I would expect probably that we'll get a full blowout later in some form or another. But in the meantime, let us turn to the description
of the video.
The official description of the video. The brothers return for a brand new adventure on the high seas. Set sail with Mario and Luigi on Ship-Shape Island, part ship, part island.
Sure.
And journey through the vast world of Concordia. A launch out of Ship-Shape's canon to visit, explore, and quest your way through islands that range from tropical rainforests to bustling cities. Meet new friends along the way like Connie and Snoutlet, definitely not a pig, and encounter familiar faces with the Mushroom Kingdom, from the Mushroom Kingdom like Peach and Bowser, who may help or hinder you on your way. You'll have to rely on Mario and Luigi's brotherly bond to succeed. Use bro moves to get past obstacles while you explore, and powerful bro attacks in a dynamic twist on turn-based combat. You'll need every edge this brothership will give you to save the day.
It seems like pretty basic, like Mario and Luigi language. Fun to get the specific language of the ship shape, part ship, part island. But mostly it's just like, here's another 30 seconds of looking at what this game looks like.
Yeah, last week in like before we recorded our episode, Nintendo had released more information in Japan, and I think it
Yes.
included more information than was in this little
Yes,
video.
it included some of the names of like the other islands, of four or five of the other islands that you go to. So those names have been translated, but like we don't know if that's how they're going to be localized. So we're not talking about it.
But also, I think there was a little bit more footage, and people who are fans of the series are seems to be very happy with what is being shown so
Right.
far. Like,
There's some new bros move.
yeah, how would you say that? Do you think it's brothers moves? But the fact that it's
BROS period.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I basically ignore the fact that the name of the game is Super Mario Bros. I always just call it Super Mario Brothers. Like I will, because like that's not
well, we don't say Super Smash Bros regularly.
Smash Bros. No, we say Smash Brothers, right?
We do.
We do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you and I. And also, like, if you were shortening it to Bros, I wouldn't put a period there,
Right.
right?
Well, okay. So are we saying it is brothers moves?
I don't know.
Brothers
I
attacks?
don't know what I'm saying. I think I need help. They're probably Bros moves.
I would think so.
I don't like it. Because should it be possessive? Like Bros's move?
No, I don't think so.
BROS period apostrophe S.
No, I think they're moves for bros. I
Right.
don't think that they are bros moves.
Sure. Yes. Okay, great. That works for me.
Glad we could clear that up.
I just the period is so confusing because like what other abbreviations do you do with a period? Is there one?
Well, most abbreviations are supposed to have periods, right? That's how you
No,
know
an
they're
abbreviation has an apostrophe. Right? If you're doing like USA, that could be U, right? But that's like by letter.
Yes, but technically,
There's no word that you shorten to more than a letter that has a period in it, right? I guess number,
well, no, yeah, I
No.
could be wrong.
but that's NO and that should be NU.
Again, just more unknowables.
Let's get into the Discord here and like set us straight what's going on here.
Yeah. In our recent conversations about Advance Wars, both the series as a whole, last week in our taking stock of franchises
Mhm.
on Switch, and also specifically 1+2 Reboot Camp, which seems to come up a fair amount.
I was playing it a little bit last week, yeah.
We may have overlooked kind of just how odd it is that 1+2 Reboot Camp was developed by WayForward.
Yes, I do think that that's something we sort of like skipped past, partially because so that they're an American studio. They're most well known for like the Shantae games, which have a history with the Game Boy Advance, in particular, and is just like a bright, colorful style. So it kind of like feels like they're already in the milieu of Nintendo, but they'd not made a Nintendo game until Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Right. And so studio director James Montagna recently went on the Fragments of Silicon podcast and talked about how they got that opportunity. And I'm just kind of going to kind of summarize
Yeah.
what he said. But basically, like he says 7 to 8 years at every E3, they would have a meeting with Nintendo, and leading up to the meeting, they would make a presentation that like they went all out and
tried to impress them for a decade straight.
and would try to and would pitch them on something. But he talks about having a good relationship with the representatives, and that they would have this meeting. They would look forward to this meeting. Everybody would have a good time. But for a decade, it didn't lead to any actual work.
Right.
And
Well, and like when you say with like the representatives, it could be easy to like toss it off as like not the decision makers or like personalities that drive Nintendo, but like Miyamoto goes to E3, Eiji Aonuma goes to E3, Reggie Fils-Aimé goes to E3. Like the voices and like idea people that are Nintendo go to these things. It's possible that they were pitching to a room that had any of those guys in it.
Right. And so he goes on to talk about how when they decided that they wanted when Nintendo decided that they were ready to do something with Advance Wars again, they reached out to WayForward because, they had this kind of like relationship and they were looking for a right fit. And so that's how it all came together.
Which is sort of just like the classic of like, look, just keep like showing your work to people, and like eventually they'll pick you for something that is like totally outside your wheelhouse, but you'll still do a great job with it. And then still like bizarre that like Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp is now this like weird footnote.
I know, kind of.
It kind of hurts, right?
Reading that made me feel a little bit sad that 1+2 Reboot Camp, just everything worked out with it the way that it did.
Right. Which is to say, didn't really work out.
Yeah.
Like, the game came out and is by all accounts good, but, like, missed its moment or something.
Finally, pre-order bonuses for various U.S. retailers selling Super Mario Party Jamboree have been revealed. Best Buy, you get a tote bag.
You get a tote bag.
GameStop has a die keychain.
Right. So, like, if you were Han Solo, right?
Yeah, that's right.
To hang
it's a
over.
single, it's like a dice block keychain. Target has a party tin.
Which, okay, they're calling it party tin. But like, what is that? Party tin. What
it does look like a novelty popcorn bucket.
Yeah, yes. And look, I already have my Super Mario Brothers movie popcorn bucket that I got when that movie came out last year. It's like a big question block.
That's right. That's right.
That being said, the Target pre-order bonus, the party tin, is the best looking thing in here to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Mario Party Jamboree, also coming out October 17th, very soon now. Feels like these games are just like crashing down on us.
The end of the year is going to be upon us like lickety-split.
Which of these is your favorite pre-order bonus? And are you just going to get this game digitally anyway, so it doesn't matter? Or are you even going to get
I don't
Mario
know that
Party
I have
Jamboree?
not purchased, I don't think. I mean, I genuinely could have.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've purchased a Mario Party game ever in my life.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, if renting doesn't count, like, I don't know that I've ever owned a Mario Party game.
I think we can say pretty definitively that renting doesn't count.
Okay, well then, no.
I'm going to go digital on this one, I think. Because I can redeem a voucher, baby.
And have you bought all the Switch Mario Party games?
No, I did not buy Superstars.
Oh, okay.
But I bought. I will, when I get this, I will own all of the Super Mario Party games.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, Mark. That's the news. Let's close it out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are not already in the Discord, email us. We'll get you in there. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying stay cool because it's hot out there. Let me read you these 20 tips. Thanks for listening.